properly. I don't want to record to the server, but it's recorded to the server. Right. Anyway, right, let's get going. Here we are. So this is visibility and responsibility and the algorithmic squeeze. And it is to help us understand why ethical voices are being squeezed and how to stay seen without burning out. So, who am I? I'm Nikki, the anti-racist mum. I've worked in the community and youth work sector for nearly 30 years, from being the first young person in the country involved with setting up the UK Youth Parliament. It wouldn't exist without me. And then doing various other bits of youth work over the years. And I'm going to let in Nicola. Here we are. Right. And sometimes some of the things that I say may lead to you experiencing emotional discomfort. That is generally a reflection of the colonialism that we exist within. And you would not go to the gym and never experience discomfort, or not expect to experience any discomfort. So to grow, you need to experience discomfort. So here we will move on. This session names power, silencing, and political pressure. You are free to step away at any point if you need to. If it feels overwhelming, you can just let me know. As I'm recording it, I can send you the recording. So just send me your email address if you need to step away if it becomes overwhelming. So I think then this is where we are at. So on the 29th of October last year, the social graph was switched off and we moved to the discovery engine. The only platform still using the social graph model of distribution is Upscrolled. All the other platforms are using the discovery engine, and the discovery engine is layers of algorithm. So the overall name for it is the discovery engine, but there is within it is the layer of the discovery engine, which is like where how you're gonna be found. Then there's the content understanding layer, the interest learner layer, user embeddings, multimodal ranking, and if you are boosting, if you're paying for your content to go out, you will also your content will go through Advantage Plus and Andromeda. And I think I have a video coming up very soon that explains them in more detail. So what we are seeing, and you will have noticed if you create content, is that you are being deprioritized, squeezed, because nuance has gone from the priorities of the algorithm. So as like the critique of systems, marginalized perspective, and the discomfort that comes from ethnic dysphoria, white fragility, any of these things, like whether you want to name it ethnic dysphoria or whether you want to name it white fragility, that discomfort is being discouraged right now because the narrative is being incredibly controlled. So yeah, I'm going to stop sharing so that I can reshare on video number 1, and then you can hear how it makes sense. What happens when you post this? If I can hear with sound, share with sound. So this is the training that I've been doing. So I'm going to play that.
In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what happens when you post on social media, because you're not posting to your followers anymore. In fact, they don't see it. You're posting into a machine and the machine decides how to distribute. It happens in milliseconds, but there's a lot that goes into it. The machine has one job: keep people on the platform for as long as possible so it can show more ads. And to do that, it runs your post through 7 systems. Every major platform has its own flavor of this, but this is the basic system. Every platform has its own flavor of this, but the structure is basically the same. Once you see these 7 systems clearly, your content performance stops feeling personal and starts feeling logical. Big picture setup. So here's the big idea. When you hit publish, your post goes through a pipeline. 1, the platform tries to understand it. 2, it matches it against people. 3, it predicts who might care. 4, it scores the content. 5, it tests it on a small audience. 6, it decides whether to push it or kill it. 7, it keeps monitoring long-term patterns for its ongoing efficiency. The whole process can start and evolve within minutes. We're going to work through each of those systems now. System 1, content understanding. What is this really? The first thing the platform has to do is answer one very simple question. What is this piece of content actually about? Content understanding is like the platform's reading brain. It's analyzing visuals, what's in the frame, people, food, laptop, whiteboard. Pixel by pixel, it goes through the image and video. Text, captions, on-screen text, keywords, hashtags, even closed captions. Audio, your spoken word, music type, sound effects, silence, tone, language. Is this educational, emotional, ranty, story-based, selling? Structure. Is this a tutorial? Story time, list, vlog, skip, POV, talking head. Topic. Business, parenting, fitness, tax advice, marketing, recipes. Emotion. Calm, angry, hyped, inspirational, empathetic, controversial. Context. Is this part of a trend, a reaction, a recurring series? It doesn't read it like a human. It pulls patterns from millions of posts. If you're a business coach and you're pointing on screen with text saying 3 ways to raise your prices, it will group that with other price-related business tips. If you're in a cafe talking about burnout and your caption mentions anxiety and overwhelm, it will map that to mental health, work-life content. Why this matters. If content understanding misclassifies your post, it will push it to the wrong people. If your visuals say one thing and your caption says another, you will introduce confusion and it won't distribute it. If your hook is vague, the system has less to grab onto. This is the first place people lose reach without even realizing, because the platform isn't actually understanding what they're saying. System 2, after it's done all of that, user embeddings, behaviorally. Who is this for behaviorally? Once the platform has a working idea of what your content is, it needs to decide who might care. This is where user embeddings come in. User embeddings are behavioral fingerprints. For every user, the system is tracking an 84-day context window. Context window is a window that moves along 84 days and captures and gathers attention every 84 days. For every user, the system is tracking a lot, including what they watch to the end, what they skip in the first 2 seconds, what they rewatch, what they save, what they share, what they comment on and how, what times of day they're active, what topics they keep returning to, what creators they lean towards, and what formats they tend to lean towards, e.g. reels, carousels, text. All of that is turned into a kind of profile vector, not based on what we like, but what we actually do. What people like and comment on is social is much different to what they actually unconsciously are interested in. And this system tracks the unconscious. Anything that will make that person stay on the platform for longer, or any signals that are showing that that person is staying on the platform for longer. You don't get labeled marketing person because you followed a marketer. You get labeled that way because you keep watching, saving, and sharing marketing content. Why this matters. Your content will first get tested on people whose behavior matches the topic and style that the platform thinks your content falls into. Your followers only matter if their behavior still lines up with what you're posting now. If your account is messy, posting kids, posting food, memes, deep social commentary, and hardcore business content all jumbled in together, the system will struggle to build a clear match and so will not distribute your content. This is why you can have 50k followers and still only reach 500 people. Their behavior fingerprint has drifted away from what you're posting now. System 3, the interest learner. What will people care about tomorrow? The interest learner is the most futuristic system in this engine. If user embeddings describe what people like today, the interest learner is there to predict what they will want next, in the next 5 seconds, the next 5 minutes, the next 5 days. It's looking at things like topics that are starting to spike, creators who are suddenly gaining traction in a niche, formats that hold attention better this week than last week, new angles that are outperforming old ones in the same category, event-based interests like Black Friday, political events, newspaper articles, seasonal behavior. It's not just asking what did this person like last week, it's asking if they liked that, what are they likely to like now? This is why sometimes platforms get ahead of you. You think you're only just getting into something and your feed is already full of it. How this connects to your content. When you post, the system doesn't just think who liked this before. It thinks who is about to move into this interest. It uses your post in small tests to figure out if it's right. If your post keeps attention from those predicted people, the interest learner is rewarded and your reach expands. If your post flops with them, the model downgrades that path, your post stalls, and there's a possibility it won't come back to find your content in the future. System 4. After all of that, we have multimodal ranking. How strong is this piece technically and behaviorally? Now we get into scoring. Multimodal ranking is where your piece of content and your account get a kind of composite score based on lots of dimensions at once. Things the system considers. Technical clarity. Is the audio clear? Is the text readable? Is the video reasonably stable? Did they use the front camera or the back camera? Structural clarity. Is there a clear beginning, middle, and end? Or is it total chaos? Hook strength. Do people make it past the first 1 to 3 seconds? Completion. How many people reach 75 to 95% of that piece of content? Replays. How many people watched it more than once? Interactions, but not just surface level interactions, time spent interactions. Saves, shares, meaningful comments, profile visits, topical alignment. Does this match known patterns for that topic? Format performance. How does this type of format usually perform for this user base? This is not about whether it's pretty. It's about whether the system believes this post can keep people on the app. High ranking means it's safe to test on more people. Low ranking means limit this, it's not worth the risk. And low ranking efficiency means let's not bother to come back and find more in the future. Why this matters to you. You're not just fighting for attention with other people in your niche. You're competing with every single piece of content that could be shown in that slot. The bar is not good enough to post. The bar is good enough to outperform other options the system has for that user at the moment. Tiny improvements in hook, audio, pacing, and clarity can massively change your ranking score.
Right. So hopefully that was useful. I'm gonna this button never works when I'm sharing my screen. Let's go back to the presentation and so the algorithm is not moral. It's the machine. It's reading our patterns. So we need to train it to know what our content is, what our content says. So the tips are like for every piece of content, and I have another video coming up about this as well. We need to teach the system what that piece of content means, how it's gonna emotionally land, who it's for, whether it should be shown to strangers, whether you're a safe and trustworthy creator, and how predictable we are as creators. And the measures that matter now more than followers are the saves, because it tells the machine that there's depth and value to that piece of content. The shares, because it's telling the machine that there's clarity and resonance with others of that piece of content. And completion, because that's telling the machine that there's coherence and steadiness to that piece of content. And then I've got another video from Inga, what the algorithm actually wants from you. So that'll be in here. Hopefully I'm already sharing my sound. If you can't hear it, one of you let me know in the chat.
What the algorithm actually wants from you, the core signals. We've talked about the 7 systems that your post goes through once you hit publish. Now we're going to talk about the bit that everyone's obsessively guessing at. What does the algorithm actually want from you? Not the vague answer, not good content, not posting at 8 p.m. The specific, measurable signals it uses to decide whether your post deserves reach or not. Quick recap though. The machine doesn't like you, it measures you. Just to ground this, the algorithm doesn't like you. It doesn't dislike you. It doesn't support small creators or punish big accounts, nothing like that. It has one job, and it is a student: to keep people on the platform for as long as possible so it can show them more ads. To do that, it doesn't look at your intentions, it looks at signals. Signals are just observable behavior. Observable behaviors humans take around your content. So in this video, when I say this is what the algorithm wants, what I actually mean is this is the behavior it's trying to maximize through your content. Vanity metrics versus core signals. Let's separate the two buckets before we even get going, because this is where most brands get lost. Vanity metrics look nice in screenshots, but they don't move distribution much in themselves. Likes, follows, view counts in isolation, generic comments, core signals, heavily weighted indicators of meaningful relevance and people spending time on your post. Saves, shares, completion rate, watch time, replays and dwell time, profile visits, return interactions, link clicks, DMs, meaningful comments, and 30 to 90-day consistency patterns. When you understand this split, you will stop chasing the wrong things. You don't optimize just for likes, views, followers, and comments anymore. You optimize for behaviors that prove that your content is valuable enough to keep people in the ecosystem. Core signal 1, save rate, the future value signal. Let's start with one of the most powerful signals: saves. A save is a platform seeing someone say, I want this later. That means this wasn't just entertaining, this wasn't just a vibe, this was useful enough, relevant enough, or emotionally sticky enough that I want to revisit it. Why the system loves saves. Future session hook. Often a save will lead people to coming back to the app to reopen the content. High intent. People don't usually save things they don't care about. And topic mapping. Saved content is a strong indicator of interest depth, not just curiosity. So from the algorithm's perspective, a high save rate says, this post has long tail utility, it will bring people back again, show it to more people like this. How to design for saves. Educational breakdowns that people genuinely need to reference are good for saves. Frameworks, step-by-steps, tutorials. Swipeable carousels with depth and not fluff. Clear you'll want this later framing, i.e. save this for your next launch, save this before you buy your next dress, bookmark this for Q4 planning, checklists, templates, scorecarding, diagnostics. But what brands get wrong is they make snackable content and then wonder why save rate is low. Snacks don't get saved. Tools do. The next big one is shares. A share is someone saying, I want someone else to see this. That's gold for a discovery system. Why the system loves shares. Shares create edges between users, mini social graphs based on content, not relationships. They create interest clusters, pockets of people that are likely to care about a similar topic. They push your content into new behavioral circles without the platform having to guess. It's essentially doing a lot of the work of interest clustering for the algorithm. When your content is shared a lot inside of a cluster, the system learns people like this are strongly interested in this type of content. Then it uses that intelligence to recommend you to similar users. Types of share optimized content. You need to see this content, calling out a specific role, specific problem, or identity, e.g. if you run ads, you need to know this, or for exhausted founders only. Relatable call out posts that people can send to friends or colleagues. Strong point of view or myth busting takes that people will use to then back up their own opinion. Tools and resources that people want to share around WhatsApp and Slack. But the mistake, a lot of brands are scared of being specific, opinionated, controversial, that they end up creating content that nobody feels compelled to share. Safe content rarely gets shared. Clear content does. Core signal 3, completion rate and watch time. It's an attention quality signal. Completion rate is what percentage of people watch this and stay to the end. Watch time is how many seconds on average did they give you. These two together are massive. Why the system cares so much though? Long watch time equals more time spent in the app equals more ads served later. High completion means your content is coherent and compelling, not confusing or boring. Short but fully completed content can outperform longer, sloppy content because it proves you can hold attention. From the machine's point of view, if a large amount of people swipe away within the first 1 to 2 seconds of your content, your post is a bad bet. If people stay, you're rewarded. How to design for completion. Hook fast. The first 1 to 3 seconds must clearly signal this is about X and it is for why. Remove fluff. Anything that doesn't move the point forward is costing you completion. Stay visually stable and clear. Bad audio, chaotic movement, cluttered visuals can all cause drop off. Promise and payoff. If your hook promises 3 ways to fix X, deliver cleanly and quickly. Structured pacing. Short beats, not just one continuous ramble. For carousels or static posts, completion equals how many people swiped through all the slides. That means strong covers, a curiosity-driven sequence, no dead slides, and a clear payoff at the end. Core signal for replays and dwell time. The depth of interest signal. Replay equals they watched it again. Dwell time means they stayed lingering on your post. Both of these say that that post hit something important. It matters because people rewatch things they are A, trying to understand, B, trying to learn, C, trying to feel again, or D, trying to write notes on. The system sees that as a depth level, not just a surface level curiosity. High dwell suggests that your content is information dense or emotionally resonant. How to encourage replays and dwell time. Pack more value than someone can process in a single watch time. Use on-screen text that people need to pause to fully read. Add micro details or examples that reward careful interest. Use frameworks or diagrams that people need to study. If people rewatch, the system thinks, we found something that grips this interest profile. Give it to more of them. Core signal 5, profile visits, curiosity and fit signals. Profile visits are one of my favorite signals because they prove something crucial. Your content is not just watchable, you are interesting. A profile visit means I want to know who is behind this and what else they got. Why the algorithm cares. It's a bridge between content discovery and account level trust. If lots of people visit your profile after they see a post, the system sees consistent interest in you as a creator or a brand and potential for deeper platform use by binge watching your content. It uses that to help decide whether to show your posts in the future to similar people. Practically, stronger hooks lead to better consumption, and strong brand clarity and positioning lead to better profile visits. A clear niche and a promise on your profile will turn those visits into followers and future engagement. What to optimize? Make it obvious in your profile that this piece of content is part of a bigger body of work, series, an ongoing narrative, or a deeper expertise. Use lines like, if you want more on X, I talk about this every day. Ensure your bio, your pin post, and your grid make sense in 3 seconds. If your profile is confusing, you're burning one of the most valuable signals that you can get.
So hopefully you've taken notes on that, because that's really valuable information from Inga. And I'm gonna just relaunch my presentation to move us along. And here we are. So we are being assessed by the algorithm every 72 hours, and then, as Inga said, every 84 days. So it's continuously assessing us to determine where to place our content and how much of our content to give to people, and whether like there's a relevance score that they give us as well that helps us like be seen by people or not be seen by people, depending on these things that I'm going to go through now. And then I've got one more of her videos to show you towards the end of this. So our emotional signature is one of the vital messages that we tell the algorithm, and that's how people feel our presence over time. So something for you to reflect on is, if someone saw 5 of your posts in a row, how would they feel? And is that a consistent feeling with those, or is it kind of spiky and jumpy? And then, so this is what we're asking again, like what the algorithm is asking for every piece of content is, what does this post mean? How does it emotionally land? Who's it for? Is it relevant to strangers? Are you safe and trustworthy? Is this clear and predictable? Because then it can place our next piece of content in front of the next person, because they're always predicting what the person, when we're scrolling, what we want to see next. And you will have noticed this since the 29th of October. It's been harder to stop scrolling, because every bit of content that comes up, you think, oh, that's interesting, because it's predicting what we want to see to keep us on that platform. And then what have I got? Got a thing in the way. Oh, what burns our reach? So yeah, like outrage spikes. Although, if you can be like, I decided I took a decision a little while ago to make an angry piece of content, and I've been trying to maintain that outrage at the people that I refer to as the athlete's foot of the brain crew, like the people that are choosing to be fascists or racists and are not recovering from their athlete's foot of the brain. So that was quite helpful for me doing that kind of outrage spike, but then maintaining it. Inconsistency is not helpful. Trauma dumping and like chaos over like the whether we're calling people out or like the content that we're putting out. I'm gonna move us on. Oh, what was I on? 60. I'm not very good at this Canva sharing my screen business. I can lose the bar at the bottom. Um, Steadiness, not spikes. We need to be like to try and build trust with the algorithm to build our visibility, so that it pushes us out so that we can shift the narrative, because that's what we're fighting at the moment, isn't it? We all know that we're fighting a narrative war where we're being, and part of the reason for that is these systems have been built to prioritize like emotional content, and emotional content that is not necessarily factually accurate as well has been pushed out because it's about what it makes people feel, whether they stay on there. If they're outraged, they're quite likely to stay on there and longer. So we also need semantic clarity for every piece of content. So if any of you have seen my content, I tend to try and start with the hook, and then who I am, what I talk about, why my content matters, and then the rest of my content, and try and keep it under the 3 minute mark, so that it gets pushed out to new audiences. So I have, yeah, like what one trainer calls a vocal business card, which is I'm the anti-racist mum and I'm here to support white people. And then I vary it slightly depending on what the rest of my video is going to be about. And then, so we need like building an emotional signature with the algorithm is really important. So this is a recommendation from Inga, that trainer. Like which is really difficult, I understand, for the canary, but she did give me some tips on that we can talk about a little bit when I finish the PowerPoint. But like really primary topic plus 2 more max, if we could like keep our content in content clusters, and like trying to move between like 2 to 3 emotions for the content, and then 10 keywords that are associated with our content that we're going to use in our content and in the caption to create that consistent training of the algorithm and give it the right signals for finding the right people to put it in front of. I think this is another video, so stop. Hopefully what I've said will make more sense after this video. Let's do this.
Let's explore what content understanding is reading and how to make the system understand you instantly. Everything the discovery engine does starts with one thing. Does the system understand what this piece of content is? If it cannot understand you clearly, it cannot distribute you clearly. This is a silent killer of reach. 90% of low-performing posts are not failing because they're bad. They're failing because the machine can't read them. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly what content understanding reads in depth and how to structure your content so the platforms understand it instantly. First, let's look at content understanding, the algorithm's reading system. When you hit publish, the first thing the system does is try to figure out what your post means before it even shows it to anyone. Not what you think it means, but what the system can extract. The machine asks, what is this about? Who is it for? What topic clusters does it belong to? What emotion does it trigger? What behavioral pattern will it likely activate? What other content does it resemble? And which audience clusters have responded to content like this before? This is not you speaking to your followers. This is you speaking to a machine that then decides where to send you. And this is the huge key difference between the old world of social media marketing and the new. Now, there are 7 layers to the content understanding, because content understanding isn't just one thing. It's multiple signals stacked together. So let's go through them one by one. Number one, the visuals. The machine reads the scene. The platform analyzes everything in the frame. People, objects, backgrounds, props, settings, clothing, environment, text overlays, color palette, gestures, motion, facial expressions. Let's look at an example. A talking head video filmed in a kitchen will be mapped differently from the same script filmed in an office. A shot of you running outdoors maps differently to you sitting at a workplace. Visual mismatch is one of the fastest ways to confuse the system. System number two, the format. The system needs to know the content type. So the machine identifies whether your content is a talking head, a voiceover, a B-roll montage, a tutorial, a list, a carousel, a meme, an interview, a Q&A, a story time, a skit, a quote post. And it matters because different formats align to different behavioural patterns. Talking heads normally means education, point of view. B-roll and voiceover often means storytelling and brand building. Carousels tend to mean depth, and fast cuts normally give attention work. Interviews tend to signal expertise, and memes signal shareability. If your format does not match your value or topic, your distribution will weaken. Signal three, tone, the emotional classification layer. This is the really in-depth one, where the system will read your tone through the pacing of your voice, your energy level, your facial expression, volume, your rhythm, your language choice, your caption tone, your emotional markers, and keyword clusters. Tones can include calm, confident, humorous, inspirational, urgent, reflective, provocative, analytical, and storytelling. If your tone doesn't match your topic, your content will feel unplaceable. Let's look at an example. A ranty tone on a sensitive parenting topic equals mismatch and confusion. A calm tone on a hot take equals a mismatch and underperformance. Signal four, angles. The machine is reading your perspective. An angle is not your topic, it's your point of view on the topic. Let's look at an example. The topic of small business marketing. Angle number one, nobody tells you this. Angle number two, the real reason why your ads aren't working. Angle number three, here's a mistake I see every founder make. Angle number four, watch this if you're a service business. Angle determines novelty, placement, cluster alignment, emotional resonance, and behavioral prediction. If your angle is bland or it's unclear, the system cannot predict the behavior on the post and so won't distribute it. Signal number five is keywords both on screen and spoken. When you upload a post, the machine transcribes your script, your on-screen text, your auto captions, any hashtags you've got, and written captions. And then it maps them to topic clusters. So let's look at an example. You talk about fatigue, cortisol, and stress. Your cluster will be well-being and stress management. You talk about pricing, clients, and retainers. Your cluster will be business strategy. But here's where people mess up. The hooks will say one thing and your speech will say another. And then your caption says a third. The system can't match it all. It gets confused and so doesn't distribute it. Signal number six is emotion. The system is reading feeling states. Platforms deeply analyze emotion signals because emotion drives retention and keeps people on the platform for longer. The machine classifies the following: excitement, fear, relief, struggle, empowerment, frustration, hope, sadness, pride, and urgency. Emotion will influence dwell time, replay behavior, saves, shares, and cluster matching. If your emotional tone is inconsistent with your message, the system will flag it as unstable content and it won't distribute it. Signal number seven is topic clusters, the meaning layer. This is the big one. Topic clusters are the ecosystem of which your content belongs to. The system first identifies high-level categories: marketing strategy, motherhood, ADHD, wellness, leadership, fashion, money, relationships, entrepreneurship, productivity, personal development, creativity. But it will then drill deeper. It will, for example, go from entrepreneurship to early stage founders to burnout to team building to systems to AI tools. Your account must have one or two dominant clusters and not 10, not chaos, and not random personal posts, because this is where your account will lose reach. If you have too many topics, if you have inconsistent clusters, if you have an unclear niche, if you switch between themes, you have mixed emotional tones and mixed visual environments and multiple competing value propositions. This isn't just in your feed, it's also in your stories as well. If the system cannot place you into an easy cluster, it cannot recommend you, and so it doesn't. So let's explore what happens when the system gets confused and the content understanding fails. When the system cannot confidently identify your post, three things happen. Firstly, your distribution will slow down, so the system will take longer to test your post. Secondly, you'll be given smaller test pools, so you'll start with fewer people, making earlier drops in your content more damaging. And thirdly, you'll get the wrong audience placement. Your post will get shown to mismatched clusters who won't respond. And so you'll have early pattern failure, and your distribution will die. This is why inconsistent creators say things like, my content doesn't go to the right people anymore. It's because the system is confused about your category, your value, your audience, your tone, and your intent. And confused content will never scale, and confusing accounts will never get distributed. So what happens when your content understanding is really strong? When the machine understands you instantly, you get faster testing, larger initial test groups, more confident distribution, clear cluster placement, more accurate audience matching, easier expansion, better long tail performance, and a higher trust score for future posts. This is why some creators have stable reach, consistent distribution, predictable engagement, and a reliable cluster alignment. It's not luck, it's clarity. So let's explore how to make the system understand you instantly. The first is to use the same filming environment 80% of the time. This will build a stable visual identity. The second is to use repeated angles, openings, or formats. Repetition equals recognizability, which equals easier placement. The third is to stick to 1 to 2 clusters maximum in your feed and in your stories, so you can be findable and not be everything everywhere. The fourth is to use clear on-screen text. Signal to the topic in the first 1 to 2 seconds. And don't bury the point. Say the topic early, say the angle clearly, and say the stakes up front. And keep your emotional tone consistent. If your brand tone is analytical, stay analytical. If it's bold and direct, stay there. And avoid random content. Every off-topic post confuses the system, and the more confusion, the less likely you are to get distribution. Prioritize consistency of meaning over consistency of posting. Because here's the blunt truth. You are only as discoverable as you are understandable. You can post every day and still be invisible. If the system cannot clearly define what you talk about, who you talk to, why your content matters, what clusters you belong in, and what behavior your content will drive. SEO is not about posting more. It's about posting more readably. Now that you know how the system reads your content, we're going to talk about how the system reads your audience. And this is where everything changes, because in the next video we're going to break down user embeddings, the real reason why your reach changes even when your content stays the same. If content understanding shapes what the machine thinks about your content, user embedding shapes who the machine thinks it's for.
Right. I am going to share again with you. So I wasn't gonna show because we've got like until the group work part. How many have you ever got here? So I can have 2 breakout rooms because there's 10 of you. Let's have a vote. Would you like to see, because I'm running a bit ahead of schedule, in terms of the starting the group work activity that I was gonna do, after like giving you a little break. Would you like to watch the user embeddings video? Would that be helpful to you, or would you rather have a break and then we do the the group work planning on how we can understand this from a canary perspective? Do you wanna not sure not exactly sure what it is. It's like how they predict who's gonna see your content. Yeah, so yeah, let me share my screen on that. And then we'll go in, then we'll have a little break for you to stretch, move about, and then we'll come back and look at it from a canary perspective of how we can work together to improve reach and visibility in the narrative war.
User embeddings, the real reason your reach changes. Now that you understand how the system reads your content, we need to talk about something far more important: how the system reads your audience. Because this is the piece that explains something almost every person and creator experiences: why your reach changes even when your content hasn't. So let's first cover what is a user embedding. Let's strip the jargon away first. A user embedding is a behavioral fingerprint. It's the platform's constantly updating model of what someone cares about based on what they actually do. Not what they say, not what they follow, not what they claim to like, what they actually do, what they actually watch to the end. Rewatch, save, share, comment on, skip, scroll past, linger on, search for, and return to. All of that behavior gets compressed into a mathematical representation. That representation is their embedding. Because your audience is not static, this is where most people make a mistake. They think their audience is fixed, but it isn't. Every person's embedding is changing constantly throughout sort of new seasons of life, new jobs, new problems, new obsessions, the weather, the politics, their bank balance, new algorithm behavior, new interests emerging. And when their behavior changes, their embedding changes. And when their embedding changes, what appears in their feed changes. This is affecting you and your account because your reach isn't based on your followers. Your reach is based on whether your content matches the current embeddings of the people of the system it's testing on, which means you could post the exact same content as you did 3 months ago, but if the behavioral clusters have shifted, then your reach will shift too, because the match isn't there anymore. It's not personal, it's mathematical. Ultimately, the platform doesn't care if someone identifies as a founder. It cares whether their behavior looks like someone currently interested in founder content. If someone used to watch marketing videos, save growth frameworks, comment on founder advice, but now they're watching parenting reels, saving home renovation ideas, and scrolling past business content, their embedding has shifted. And you ultimately will disappear from their feed. Not because they unfollowed you, but because you're no longer a match to their interests. This is why your reach can feel super inconsistent. This is why people say, my content is the same, but my reach dropped. Yes, your content might be the same, but your audience isn't. Clusters evolve, embeddings shift, interest windows open and close. The system is constantly recalibrating. Who is this content relevant to right now? And so discovery is a matching engine. The modern feed works like this. Content gets classified. The system looks for embeddings that match. It tests the content on users whose behavioral fingerprints align. If they respond strongly, distribution expands. If not, then it contracts. So you're not broadcasting to your followers and people who've opted in to see you. You're being matched to behaviors, which is actually good news. So here's the empowering part. If embeddings are behavioral and not relational, that means you are not limited to the people who already know you. You can reach entirely new clusters, reach people who don't follow you, reach people whose behavior has just shifted into your category, and grow without permission from your current follower base, grow without networking, grow without relying on your existing audience. This is the gift of discovery. But strategically, what this means is that if your reach is behavioral matching, then your job is not grow your followers. Your job is stay aligned with the evolving behavioral clusters. I know that sounds complicated, but ultimately this means that you need to monitor topic shifts in your content. Watch emerging patterns. How are people changing in their reactions to your content? Notice what your audience is saving now and evolve your angles, but don't change the messaging. Refresh framing, but don't change your topics. Update examples and stay semantically current. No trend chasing. Don't go off the wire trying to follow your followers around. Just become behavior aware. Growth can feel cyclical because embedding shifts are also why growth feels like it expands, plateaus, dips, expands again. Because as these clusters evolve, your alignment strengthens or weakens. You are not on a straight line. You are inside of a constantly moving behavioral ecosystem. If your content understanding determines what your post is, then user embeddings determine who it's for. And growth happens when those two things align. When meaning clarity meets behavioral relevance, the system expands you. When they drift apart, reach contracts. It's not shadow banning, it's not punishment, it's not personal, it's just simply matching. And in the next video, we're going to talk through the interest learner, the predictive engine that doesn't just match content to current behavior, but tries to predict what people will care about next. Because once you understand that, you'll stop reacting to the algorithm and start moving slightly ahead of it.
I'm going to play you that one as well, I think, because I think we can only work out a strategy for our content at the Canary and wider content once you understand that. And then I'll give you a break to stretch and process. And then we'll come back and we'll do a reflective group work activity. And within that group work activity will be embedding what you've learned today.
How the interest learner predicts who should see you next. Now we're getting into the part of the algorithm that makes social feel like magic, but it's not magic, it's prediction. In the last video, we talked about user embeddings, the behavioral fingerprints. This video is the next layer up because the platform isn't only matching content to the people, to what people liked in the past, it's trying to predict what they're going to care about next. That system is called the interest learner. And once you understand it, you stop thinking social is random and you start seeing the logic. So let's go over the core commercial motivation. Let's anchor this in reality before we go technical. Social platforms don't get paid when you feel inspired. They get paid when you stay longer. Time spent drives ad inventory. So the platform's core job is not to show people what they follow, it's keep people on the platform and bring them back tomorrow. The interest learner exists for that one reason, to predict what content will keep someone scrolling next. It's a bit like Netflix. Netflix is the easiest way to understand it. Netflix doesn't just say, you watched a documentary yesterday, here's another documentary. It says, people like you who watched that documentary also became obsessed with this series next. That's what the interest learner is doing. It's building pathways between interests, not based on what you say you like, based on observed behavior across millions of users. So it's not recommending content because it's similar. It's recommending content because it predicts a next step interest. Interest isn't static, it moves. And this is the part most people don't realize. Interest is not a fixed label. Interest is a moving target shaped by seasons. You know, January fitness versus December gifting, life phases, new job, new baby, burnout, breakup, cultural cycles, news, events, attention spikes, platform environment with new formats being pushed, social proof, so what other people in your cluster are watching. So the interest learner isn't just mapping what someone likes, it's mapping where they are heading. So let's go over what the interest learner actually observes. The interest learner learns from behavioral signals like sequence, so what someone watches after what. Depth, whether they binge on a topic or dabble in a topic. Velocity, how quickly a new interest appears. Stickiness, which is whether they come back to that interest tomorrow. Migration, when users move from one cluster to another. Drop-off patterns, so what makes them leave the app completely. Return triggers, and what makes them return to the platform later. This is important. The platform isn't obsessed with what you liked, it's obsessed with what kept you in session. And that's the commercial lens for these algorithms. The three types of interest the system uses. So to keep it simple, think of interest in these three layers. Number one, stable interests, core identity level topics that someone returns to often. So like business, parenting, fitness, fashion, football. Number two, emerging interests. So topics someone is starting to lean into. You can see it when they start pausing longer, saving more, searching. And number three, temporary interests. Short spikes, trending topics, events, hype cycles. The interest learner is always balancing these. Stable keeps the feed familiar. Emerging keeps it fresh, and temporary keeps it culturally relevant. So let's explore why the platform tests your content on new followers. So here's the bit that explains discovery. Your post doesn't just expand because your followers loved it. Your post expands because your content worked well with a predicted interest cluster. So the platform does something very specific. It classifies the content in content understanding. It identifies potential clusters in the user embeddings, and then it picks a small group of people whose behavior suggests they'll respond. It tests the posts, then it watches what happens next. If those people finish the video, rewatch, save, share, click the profile, watch another post after, stay in session longer, then your post is a win. Not because it got engagement, likes and comments, but because it improved session quality. So this is what good looks like to the interest learner. This is what the interest learner rewards. The first is predictable consumption. Content that is easy to watch without effort. So clear structure, clear meaning, clear pacing. The second is next action behavior. So people don't just react, they then do something next. They then watch another piece, for example, or save it for later, or share it to someone. They might follow you for more. They might follow you for more content or search for related topics. Ultimately, they stay longer. And number three is cluster expansion. So the content performs not just with one group, but adjacent groups. And that's when it starts to travel. This is why some viral content doesn't grow accounts. And this is where people get confused. Some posts go viral and do nothing for your growth. Why some viral content doesn't grow accounts? And this is where people get confused. Some posts go viral and do nothing for your growth. because the interest learner cares about what audience it was viral with, what behavior it created after, whether it built a durable interest link to your account. If your post is viral in a broad entertainment cluster, like lots of views, but low saves, low profile visits, low return behavior, low conversion, then the system learns that this post was watchable, but the creator isn't essential. So you'll get a spike with no compound effect. This is why we say viral posts don't grow accounts unless they create the right next behavior. So here's the reframe that will change everything. Stop asking, how do I get more views? And start asking, what does the platform predict will keep my ideal audience in session? And how do I become that? That's what the interest learner is optimizing for. And that's ultimately what you want for your business. So now let's translate this into a growth system. First, you need to build content that creates a pathway. Don't just post random topics, create a sequence. An example pathway might be why your content isn't working, what the algorithm measures, what to post for awareness versus conversion, how to build a weekly system, how to create content faster, how to make growth predictable. This is not storytelling, this is interest engineering. Each topic follows on from the previous one. Secondly, you can design for next behavior. So at the end of the post, your job is to trigger one of these, to either get someone to watch another post, to get someone to save, to get someone to share, to get someone to comment with intent and not just drop a quick like, to get someone to visit your profile, not with like gimmicks, but with relevance so that they'll do it over and over again. And so the third is to create repeatable formats. Repeatable formats help the interest learner predict who will like you, what you'll post next, how your audience behaves around your content. That predictability increases distribution because it's much easier for the interest learner to distribute it. This is where Clue Labs becomes the obvious solution. Without selling, Clue Labs is basically an interest learner translator. It helps users see which clusters they currently match, see which signals they're underfeeding, see which stage of the funnel is quite weak, and generate next posts designed to trigger specific behaviors, not random ideas, next best ideas. Because the interest learner doesn't reward creativity. It rewards content that reliably triggers the right behaviors in the right clusters. In the next video, we're going to talk about
Yeah. That's a lot of information to process. I've got a workbook that I created at the end of last year when I first started doing this training. And I'm going to share it as a PDF in the chat. I'm going to stop recording just so that you can all those of you that want to turn your cameras on and